Okay, guys, once again, I welcome you to my lesson for today. I hope you guys had enough rest after we had our first lesson. Remember, guys, at all times, make sure that your mic is muted so that we do not get disturbed by the background noise. So in case if you've got your mic unmuted and there's a background noise, it causes a disturbance. As a result, I will be forced to just switch it from my side. So the disadvantage to that is because is that if you want to either comment or ask a question, you won't be able to do so. So just make sure to manage it from your side. And secondly, some of you guys might not have attended my first lesson. Don't worry, it's recorded. On Tuesday, I'm going to post all the lessons that you need to catch up on, and I'm going to send the link in the group. You'll just click on the link. It will take you to my a playlist where I posted all the lessons that you need to catch up. And the next thing that I want to comment on is that, remember, guys, because you are many, I'm not able to respond to everyone at once. I'm a bit slow, but just make sure that if you want my urgent attention, send me inbox via Telegram. If you send it via WhatsApp, I might respond after 2 weeks, but I'm only active on statuses on my WhatsApp because that's where I update everyone in terms of when is the lesson. And again, some of you guys, I've sent you the information, but you could not read as you had to read. Obviously, all of you guys who are in this group, you did what you're supposed to do. Well done to that. But there are some who are still struggling to get to this group. So, guys, without any waste of time, in today's lesson, we'll be looking at unit number 6. So under unit number 6, we are extending ratios to 0 degrees, or let's say between 0 degrees and 360 degrees. I hope everyone remembers that we've got this thing. So I'm just going to ask you a question to say, what is this thing, guys?
A Cartesian plane, sir.
Okay,
Plane, sir.
I'm glad you've got an idea of what we are dealing with. But remember, guys, I want you guys to be sharp in your minds. I want your minds to be very, very sharp. I want you guys to analyze and pay attention to every detail. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not a Cartesian plane. This is two lines crossing each other. The moment I say a x axis and y axis, ladies and gentlemen, this is what we call a Cartesian plane. But if it's just two lines, if it is just two lines, how do you know that this is a straight line, which is the graph of G, and this is a straight line, which is the graph of h of x? Two lines drawn but not drawn on a Cartesian plane. Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
100%. So guys, once we say y-axis and x-axis, that's when you can say you are now looking at a Cartesian plane. So how many quadrants does a Cartesian plane have?
It has 4 quadrants.
So this is quadrant number 1, this is quadrant number 2, this is quadrant number 3, this is quadrant number 4. There I agree with you 100%. So remember, guys, we said on a Cartesian plane, we can have angles which are less than 90 degrees, or otherwise, let's say angles which are between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. How do you represent angles which are remember, guys, these two signs, when they are written in that way, we're simply saying angles between 0 and 90. So these are the angles, guys. These are the angles. So this line is radiating from the 0 line. So this angle, that angle, those angles, ladies and gentlemen, these angles, guys, angles formed in quadrant 1. These are the angles which are between 0 degrees and 90 degrees. You just need to be able to interpret that statement. Therefore, when we talk about angles which are between 90 degrees and 270 degrees, that means we talk about angles or all angles in the second quadrant. And the angles formed, still, you start from there up to that first line, from there up to there up to there. So these are the angles formed, guys. And again, that means angles formed between, what is it going to be? No, it had to be 180 over there. I'm not sure if you guys noticed. So this is 90, this is 180 degrees. So that means all the angles in the second quadrant are angles between 90 and 180 degrees. So guys, in case if you're writing notes, just make sure to correct that part. I'm sure some of you did notice that it's supposed to be 180 degrees there. So angles between 180 degrees and 270, which is there, 270 degrees. These are the angles there. These are those angles formed there. Those are the angles formed there. So angles formed between 270 degrees and 370 degrees. So these are the angles, guys. You can see everything is radiating from that 0 point, which is called the origin, all the way up to the first line, up to there, guys. So I hope it makes sense to everyone in terms of what are we referring to in terms of the angle. So that means all the angles within that first quadrant are the angles which are between 0 and 90, this between that and that, here between that and that, here between that and that. Guys, did you understand that explanation?
Yes, sir. So far, so good.
Okay. Someone indicated to say, so far, so good. So let's say we've got a Cartesian plane. Remember, it becomes a Cartesian plane when it's x-axis and y-axis. So how to represent angles, let's say greater than 0 but less than 90. How to represent angles which are greater than 0 degrees but less than 90 degrees. So in short, this is angle between 90 and between 0 and 90. So you just make a dot there, then you can just do that line, draw that line, then you do a vertical line. So that angle there is your 90-degree angle. So guys, you remember from our very first lesson, we said, what is this being called? And we said, this is the terminal site. I'm not sure if you guys remember. We said, this is the terminal site, and that point there is the initial site. So you don't need to stress that much about knowing which one is terminal, which one is which. It's just for you to add to your knowledge. So obviously, the vertical line represents the y value. And again, the horizontal line represents the x value. So what does that line represent? Is there someone who wants to guess?
R.
100%. So this is our r, which is the radius. So now the question is, now that we are in the first quadrant, is the y positive or negative? Is the x positive or negative?
X is
X and
positive.
Y are positive, sir.
Both x and y are positive. So let's represent an angle which is between 90 degrees and 180 degrees. So you just draw something similar to that. So there you've got the terminal side, obviously the initial side. Therefore, in this case, guys, we have a 90-degree angle there. What makes it to be a 90-degree angle is because of that line, which is a straight line, and that line, which is a straight line. Therefore, it forms perpendicular lines. It means this is 90-degree angle. Also on this side, it's a 90-degree angle. So now, let's see, between this side and this side, which one it's our y, which one is our x? You can say vertical x, horizontal y, or vice versa.
Horizontal line.
Please repeat the question.
Between the vertical line and the horizontal line, which one represent x, which one represent y?
Vertical Y, horizontal X.
100% vertical y, horizontal x. Obviously, that one is our r. So it seems therefore that, or maybe let me put it to you as a question. Which one is positive and which one is negative, or which one, or are they both negative, or are they both positive?
X is
X
negative.
negative,
X is negative and Y is positive, sir.
Y is positive. 100%. So now let's represent angle between 180 degrees and 270 degrees. So you just do the same, guys. You therefore have that, and you therefore have that. So this is where the 90-degree angle is formed. Obviously, you know very well that we still have y, and again, we still have that x. So the x doesn't change, it's still negative, but the y in this case is negative. I hope that makes sense to everyone. Then we do the same there. The y in this case is a negative y, and the x is that positive x over there. So this triangle which forms a 90-degree angle there, these are for the angles which are between 270 degrees and 360 degrees. Guys, did that explanation help you to understand what we mean when we say angles between two angles? For example, does this representation make you understand that when we say 0 degrees less or equals to angle, that it means between two angles? Does it make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So now let's try to talk about what you guys know very well as a cast diagram. Cast a diagram. So a cast diagram, ladies and gentlemen, is nothing. There's nothing much. There's nothing complicated there. Is just to say, okay, we know this is the first quadrant. We know this is the second quadrant. This is the third quadrant. This is the fourth quadrant. So in terms of the cast diagram, it helps you to know which trig ratio is positive in which quadrant. So the C there, it stands for what?
Cos.
Cos.
Okay, it stands for cos. And then A,
All.
All the
S.
three.
Sine
A
T.
is
10.
all sine 10.
Sine 10.
100%. You obviously know very well that this is where you have your A. Where's your C? I think you see your C is there in the fourth quadrant. Then you have your S in that quadrant there, and then you have your tan in that quadrant there. So this is the information that I sent in the group, guys. Do you still remember that information that I sent in the group?
Yes, sir.
There we got it.
So before we move to the next part of our lesson, is everyone happy with the explanation that I've explained so far?
Sir.
For now, I
So I assume at this point in time, there's no question from anyone. I hope that makes sense to everyone. So what I'm going to do now, let's see. There's examples using cast diagram that I send in the group. Just make sure that you have access to that information. So I'm just going to be explaining to you each of those examples. So we've got Y there. And you know, this type of questions, I am 100% sure, guys, that they will be there in your exams. And I'm sure you are going to remember some of this information here. So just make sure that you attend this lesson until the end, because I normally provide you guys with exam tips in each and every lesson. So I make sure not to miss anything, guys. So this is that diagram. They said without using a calculator, use the figure to calculate the following. The first thing that they want you to calculate, let's see, 1.1, they want you to calculate OP. 1.2, they want you to calculate, let's say, 10 angle A. 1.3, they want you to calculate cos angle A. 1.4, they want you to calculate sine A, what is it, squared A. minus cos squared A. So what I'm going to do with this one, or maybe okay, let me just explain to you this one. Then on the next question, I will guide you on how to interpret as I'm going to do now. On upcoming questions, I'll just be asking questions. Then I'll give you an opportunity to give it a try in terms of interpreting what will be given for that particular question. So in this case, ladies and gentlemen, we have a Cartesian plane. How do you see a Cartesian plane? It's because you see the x-axis and the y-axis. That is the first most important thing to notice when you're given a sketch, especially when you're given something which is drawn on a Cartesian plane. The first thing, comment on the Cartesian plane. You've got the Cartesian plane. Secondly, you've got an angle which is represented between 90 degree and 180 degree. So there obviously we know this is 0 degree and 360 degree. This is 270 degrees. Or otherwise you can say you've got a triangle, or you've got an angle in the second quadrant. It doesn't matter how you explain it, but what matters the most is for you to notice you've got a Cartesian plane, and again you've got an angle which is in a second quadrant. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. Very, very much important. Because we are dealing with trigonometry, you are mostly interested in seeing a triangle, ladies and gentlemen. Because trigonometry, guys, we said we study the sides and the angles. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So how do you see a triangle there? So if you had a vertical line from that point there up to there, then you can see you've got yourself a triangle, which is a right angled triangle. So just so that it doesn't confuse you, it doesn't matter that much if you start with that triangle and say you've got a 90 degree angle over there. So guys, remember, this is O and that is P over there. I'm just trying to redraw all of that. And again, on P, we've got two values, which is the X and Y. So my question to you guys, between those two values, which one is this and which one is that?
Which one is what?
3 is Y, sir.
Sir, -2 is X, 3 is Y.
100%. So remember, guys, in case if I've asked a question, it's either you want a repeat of the question, or otherwise, if you want to give it a try, straight away make your point. So next time I'll just say make your point. In short, I'm saying quickly say horizontal -2, vertical Y. Then you mute your mic, just so that you are quickly making your point. Then we proceed. So all of you guys, you got it right. This is -2 and this is +3. So that means we've got that as 3, we've got this side as -2. So let's see. Obviously that side is going to be R, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
100%. So I just want to quickly try and get something to make some, like, guys, or maybe let me ask, are you guys able to clearly see there? Because there's a load shedding where I am, but I'm using my internet to do this lesson. I'm just wondering if you guys are able to clearly see over there.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
Okay, 100%. So let's now continue, guys. So let's now answer the questions. So it's either you have this as it is, or you can just remove it and use what is given. So I would advise you to practice using both methods, but finally learn how to answer questions using this, because in exam you won't have enough time to be redrawing everything and doing some calculations. So you just need to be able to do all of that on the given information. So what is OP? OP is your R, but OP refers to a length. Why is it a length? Because it's written in capital letters. So if it's written in capital letters, it means they want that length. So in this case, I think we can use theorem of Pythagoras, guys, because we know that OP squared is equals to let's say x squared plus y squared. So this is going to be what? X, you said, is negative 2 squared plus your y, it's equals to 3 squared. Therefore, you punch all of this on a calculator. What are you getting when you punch all of that on a calculator, guys? Let me see. That squared plus that squared is equals to, I'm getting 13. I'm not sure if you guys are also getting 13. So you are going to introduce a square root on both sides. Therefore, OP is equals to square root of 13. What is that?
Yes, sir.
So I'm getting 3.61 units. So I'm not sure if all of you guys got the same answer for that calculation.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So now let's move to the second question. So on the second question, they want you to calculate tan angle. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. So what is tan angle? So you just say tan. Remember, the angle is A. It's equals to, what is the ratio for tan? We know tan is equals to opposite over adjacent. So what is opposite and what is adjacent, guys?
It's y over x.
So it's y over x. Substitute the values.
It's 3 over negative 2.
So is 3 over negative 2, which is the same as negative 3 over 2. So that makes sense to everyone, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
So you do the same for that question where they say cos A. So work out this one and tell me or mention what is the final answer. Just want to quickly get something to just make some light.
So the answer is 2 over 3,61.
What is it?
Of
What is it, Lerato? What answer did you get?
2 over 3,61.
Who else got a different answer? Or who got
Sir,
Sir,
the
I got negative 2 over 3,61.
Got negative 2 over 3,61.
is it the same answer? Did you all guys get the same answer?
yes, sir.
Okay, let me see, so that I'm also convinced that we got the same correct answer. So cos, I know cos is adjacent over hypotenuse. So my adjacent in that case is, let's see, my adjacent is negative 2. So remember, guys, for those of you who are wondering where is that alpha, so the alpha is that one. So that means adjacent is negative 2, which means we've got negative 2 over hypotenuse. What answer did we get for that hypotenuse, guys? What was that answer?
We got 3,61.
We got, let me just write it down.
So we
What
can't
was
see, sir.
Sir, we can't
okay,
see, sir.
so let me quickly try to switch off my laptop so that it makes a bit of light. Let me do this, guys. Just let me know as soon as you are now able to see. Are you now able
Yes,
to
sir.
see?
My lord, as I can see. Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So let's now proceed. So you guys said, what was that? What was that value for R?
3,61.
Root of 13, sir.
3,61, which is the root of 13. Okay, so that means I'm going to substitute there as what is it? You can still say root of 13 is fine. You can still say that. So whichever that works for you, it's fine. So that you can either write it as a decimal or you can just leave it as it is. So even if you said maybe negative 2 divided by 3,61, I think it's still fine. Okay, now I think we are all on the same page. So you guys said everyone got that answer, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's move to the next question. So before we move to the next question, can you now see, is cos and tan a positive in that quadrant?
Sine, sir.
So
Sine,
it's
sir.
only sine which is positive. That is the reason why when we do a calculation for cos angle, we get a negative answer. And again, that's why when we did the previous problem for tan, we got a negative number. So that is why they say the cast diagram helps you to know which trig ratio is positive in which quadrant. So that means if we got a positive answer, then it's an indication that somewhere, somehow, we made a mistake. So let's now move on to that question, which is 1.4. So can you see, guys, in this case, we need to know what is the ratio for sine. What is the ratio for sine, guys? We know the ratio for sine is, what is it? Is y over r. Close. That squared is that one over there. Then you say minus, what is the ratio for cos? This is the ratio for cos. That squared is that one. So that means if the question was just sine A, maybe plus cos A. In this case, you don't have a squared. So it's just y over r, then plus x over r. If you wanted to write them in brackets, it's still in brackets. There's invisible 1 there, invisible 1 there. You still have invisible 1 there, which is still the same as x over r. Did that make sense to everyone?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So just make sure that you are careful of that. Let's see. So what is y? Obviously, we know y is 3 over what is r. Let's substitute it as the root of 13, close, then squared, and minus, there we know is negative 2 divided by the root of 13, you close, you squared. So can you see, Shreyas, what you do now is just to simplify what you substituted. So if you're in exam, I think they're going to give you a mark there and a mark for correct substitution and a mark for final answer. I'm not yet sure at this point in time. It will depend in which grade you will be at that time. So I'll just confirm for that when we do exam type of questions. Guys, trigonometry, it's an easy but confusing or a bit confusing chapter. So just make sure that you catch up, you practice more, you do exam type of questions. And I hope you are aware that trigonometry is one of those chapters which are allocated the most marks. So that means we must spend much of our time into this type of questions so that we score maximum marks. So let's see. Obviously, you're going to say that squared, you square that squared, you square that. I'm sure some of you are now writing your final answer. So let's see. What is 3 squared? Is it 9? It's 9. So that means we have 9 over square root of 13 squared is the same as 13 because squared removes the square root. What is negative 2 squared? Remember, you put it in brackets, then you squared. So this is going to be 4. Obviously, that is going to be, what is it? 13. So now work out this last part. So how do we work out that last part, guys? What I would do in my case, I think I was just going to punch all of this on a calculator, but there must be a way in which you can follow mathematical procedure to work it out. Let's see, it's 9 over 13 minus 4 over 13, which is equals to 5 over 13. So I'm just not sure if this thing is like that, where you have that minus that, then this is supposed to be equals to 5 over 13. So I'm not sure. What are you guys getting as your answer?
5 over 13, sir.
5 over 13.
5 over 13. So that means that information that I sent in the group is from one of the textbooks that I normally use to practice. So which means they made a mistake over there. So you just know that when you correct it, it should be 5 over 13. Did you notice their mistake? There, instead of a minus, they used a plus by mistake. So just be careful of that. But I'm glad we all got the same answer. So does that make sense to everyone, what we explained for the first example?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So does it mean, are we now ready to move to the next problem?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So let's see. I just want to make sure, guys, that I did not miss any step. Guys, let's punch something. Let's punch all of this on our calculator and see if we get that. I'm just wondering if it's us who made a mistake or if there's a mistake in the
Sir,
question.
it's correct.
Which
It's
one?
correct.
It's
Is
correct.
ours correct?
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Yeah, because I think, yes, we must have done correct calculations. So if you guys are saying we are correct, then we can move on to the next one. Because I was wondering, how can it be wrong in the textbook? But obviously, guys, a mistake is a mistake. Even in the textbook, there are mistakes. So let's see. We move on to the next problem. No, it's not even drawn. It's not even drawn. They just gave a statement there, and they said, remember, if you want to read what I'm reading, just on your screen, click somewhere it says back, if there's back, and in the group, open that first image. So I'm now on number 2. So they say, if sine A, they say if sine A is equals to negative 12 over 13, and A is the element of 90 degrees and 270 degrees. Determine, let me just write find, without using a calculator, the values of cos A, and then again, this is number 1. Then number 2, they say tan A. So did all of you guys get that question from the group before I now start to answer this problem?
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So let's see. They are saying sine A is equals to 12 over 13. And A is the element of that. So that means when you interpret that statement, guys, they are giving you sine of angle A, which is, we've got a negative there, we have 12 over 13. Then you must know that sine, angle, what are the ratios for sine? You must know that sine is what is it? Y over R. I hope everyone knows that. So the sine, it obviously goes to y. It cannot be r. Therefore, that means this is actually negative y over r. Does that part make sense before I continue?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so again, you need that statement. So this statement, it helps you to know under which quadrant your diagram falls or your angle falls. So that means it falls in this quadrant, which is between 90 degrees. And so in that case, I won't use theta, but I'm going to use A because the angle is called angle A. So which is between 90 and 270 degrees. So can you see, guys, the angle that they're talking about is between 90 degrees and 270 degrees. So that means the triangle is either in quadrant number 2 or it's in quadrant number 3. Does it make sense, guys?
Yes, sir.
So you need to know between quadrant 2 and quadrant 3, which quadrant has got a negative y?
2.
The third quadrant, sir.
Guys, which quadrant between quadrant 2 and quadrant 3 has a negative y?
Quadrant 3.
It has to be quadrant 3
Quadrant
because
3.
from there, Going up, you've got positive y values. You've got negative x values, positive x values, negative y values. Therefore, it means we have that quadrant, we have that graph there. So that simply means there, the coordinates, what are we having there? We cannot even represent them in terms of x and y because we know the r is 13 and the y is negative 12. So that means x is x, which is unknown, but y is negative 12. Does it make sense in terms of how to draw a diagram using that statement there? So let me just check. I think my light went off. So I think it's my laptop. It ran out of a battery. Let me just get something to make some light. So guys, are you still there?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
I just had to quickly make something to make some light. So I hope you are now able to see, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so let's now perform calculations to answer the questions. So I'm just going to remove all of that. So that means, guys, it's very, very much important that you are able to interpret the given statement. So that means this is what we've got. So we know we are only interested in there. We've got 13, we've got negative 12, 90 degrees there. This is our x, this is our y, that is our r. And the angle formed is that angle there, which is angle A. So let's find cos A, which is what the question wants us to find. So cos A, what is cos A, guys? Is x over r. I'm not sure if you agree with me on that one. So what is
Yes, sir.
what is our x? What is our r? So obviously our x is negative 12, our r is 13.
Sir, you made a mistake. Negative
Where
12 is y. We have to calculate our x.
Yes, 100%. Guys, are we all on the same page? Do you guys notice my mistake?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
So, guys, let me ask you this question because I just want to make sure, in case if you guys are that smart or you've done these things before. Have you guys done this part in your schools? Or are we
Yes,
doing
sir,
it for the
I
first
have.
time?
Yes, sir.
Sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, 100%. So that means you will notice when I make a mistake. So I'm glad you guys have done it before. So that means when I make a mistake, you will understand. So can you see this question? It seems a bit easy, but it requires a bit of work to do. So we know that a cos is x over r. But in this case, we do not have x. So is there someone who wants to guess how can we find the x value?
By using
Theorem of
Pythagoras
Pythagoras.
theorem.
100%. So after using theorem of Pythagoras, what value of x are we getting? So obviously it's going to be 13 squared minus that, and then square root of the answer. Let's see. Square root 13 squared minus 12 squared, square root of answer is equals to, I'm getting um, a value which is plus or minus 5. Or maybe let me just do it so that you fully understand how to derive that answer. So obviously we know r squared is equals to x squared plus y squared. So in this case, we know 13 squared is our r in that case. So x squared is what we're looking for, and then y is equals to negative 12 squared. So what is 13 squared minus 12 squared when you punch it on a calculator, guys?
I got 25.
25,
So
sir.
she got 25. So when you introduce a square root on both sides, the answer that you get is plus or minus. Square root of 25 is 5. So that means you need to decide whether x is 5 or a negative 5. So our x, is it going to be positive or is it going to be negative?
Negative.
Negative.
100%. So that means our x value is negative 5 divided by 13. So that is cos of angle A. So we are all on the same page in that one, isn't it?
Yes, sir.
Okay, then in that case, let's, I think I can remove all of this. We've done that calculation, and I can also remove that. Then what we calculate now is what is it? It's tan angle, which is tan A, which is y over x. What is y, guys? Y is
Negative
negative
12, sir.
12 divided by negative
Negative 5.
5. So that means is positive that over positive that. So that cancels, that cancels. So can you see in third quadrant, tan A is positive. Does it make sense?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so now let's try to have a look at the next problem. So in this case, again, we are just given a statement where they say if tan, remember to refer to that information that I sent in the group. If tan x is equals to negative 5 over 12, 0 x 180 degrees. Use a sketch, no calculator, to determine the value of 3 sine x minus 2 cos x. So remember, guys, I think you are now able to interpret that statement. So you just need to be aware that tan is made of y over x. Very, very much important, ladies and gentlemen. And in this case, they are saying an angle between that and that. So this is the angle which is between 0 degrees and 180 degrees. So there you've got your y-axis, you've got your x-axis. So that means it's either it's in this quadrant or that quadrant. So you've got the values there, you've got 5, you've got 12. And you have a negative which you don't know if it's for 5 or if it's for a 12. So in which quadrant do you think our angle will be?
Second quadrant.
Why second quadrant, Shreyas?
Sir, because so it will change from a negative to a positive, sir.
Sorry, say that again. From it's because
So since that the 10 is a negative, since it's negative, sir, it might change to a positive, sir.
Okay. Last one to give it a guess before I explain.
And say,
The
according to
question.
the given statement, x is greater than 0 but less than 180. And
Mhm.
because tan is positive in the third quadrant, so it's going to be in the second quadrant.
You're saying because tan is positive in the third quadrant, then it's going to be in the second. Okay, another one to give it a guess.
Say x is negative.
Easy, 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 easy. X is negative. Where? In the second quadrant. So the reason why it has to be in the second quadrant, guys, you you are guided by that sign. In which quadrant are you having a negative a y value? Let's start with y. In quadrant number 1 and 2, do you have a negative y value?
No,
Yes,
sir.
mother.
No, no.
No, sir.
It's a no. We don't have a negative y value in the second quadrant. So now we comment on the x. In between quadrant 1 and 2, which one do we have a negative x value?
Second quadrant.
So
Second
Lerato,
Number.
it's in the second quadrant because we have a negative value. So that means that ratio is 5 over negative 12. So I hope it now makes sense, guys. So that means the coordinate is there. We've got 5, we've got negative 12. Therefore, a right angle triangle there, then you know what is that, and again, what is that. So you can simply complete that. So let's have a look. We say this is negative 12, and again, what is that? This is what is it, guys? It's 5. Am I doing it correctly? So that means
Yes, sir.
to represent the coordinates there, it's actually negative 12 and 5. Those are the right coordinates. Then it means you can find the what is it, the radius. So I'll just check from there in terms of how the radius will be. So what will the radius be, guys? I think it's 13. So I
Yes, sir.
think it's
Got
13.
13.
Yes, 100%. So if you
Yes,
got
sir.
13, then that is 100%. So that means you are going to have 3 into what is sine x. Sine x is opposite. What is opposite is y over r. Then minus 2 into what is cos. Cos is that over r. Then you just substitute your y, substitute your y, your r, substitute your x, substitute your y. So that is how you solve for that problem. I hope you can take it further, guys. I think I'm about to run out of battery, but now I'm giving you guys a, a homework to do. Just just make sure that you practice number 4. So what I need you guys to do is it's either you can send a text or a voice note where you explain to me that question number 4. Just make sure you understand what your homework is. You are not writing anything but just explaining to me the question, or you are interpreting the question to me. I'll just use number 3, for example, to explain what you're supposed to do. So this is what I'm expecting from you as an answer to my homework. So you're just going to say, the question says, if tan x is equals to negative 5 over 12, the angle that is formed is between 0 degrees and 180 degrees. That means I must be able to determine in which angle um, or in which quadrant the angle will be. Therefore, it's going to be in quadrant number 3, because the ratio for tan x is y over x. And again, let's see, in quadrant number 2, that's where the x is a negative value. Therefore, after drawing my triangle, I'm going to determine for the unknown which could be rx or y. And I'm going to then substitute into the problem and have 3 into the ratio minus 2 into the ratio. So it's more like you explain to me the question and also the answer. So most importantly, remember guys, don't explain in a language that you are not confident with. So I forgot to mention this part, which is very, very much important. Remember guys, as you are attending this lesson in a group, when you ask a question, you are not asking for me, you are not asking for a fellow a participant, you are asking for yourself. So just make sure that if you are not confident in asking questions in English, ask in your own language. I know Lerato is in KZN. She understands Zulu better than me. So in case if you want to ask a question, it's in Zulu and I'm not understanding, someone is going to interpret it for us. In case if you are in Limpopo, you want to ask your question in Pedi, that's the language that I speak, you can ask your question in Pedi. I'm going to interpret it for everyone so that we are all on the same page. The main aim is to make sure that you confidently understand these things, because what I've noticed, even myself when I was studying, when I was in high school, I did not understand better when things were explained in English, or otherwise, let's say, I did not understand better when, how do I explain this? So let's say some things were explained in English, I would understand. But for me to ask a question in English, it was a bit of a challenge. So I had to understand these things in my language. It then became easy for me to ask them in English because I knew the terminology associated with that particular chapter. So make sure that if you've got a question, stop me, use your language, make sure that your question is clear. In that way, you might find that you've got a very powerful question which everyone can benefit from. But if you don't ask it, then we lose an opportunity to learn from that question. It's not only in the lessons presented by the teacher or the tutor where you learn. We also learn from the questions that you guys are asking, because some questions are important. Some questions is because maybe your information is limited, but please do make sure that you ask those questions. And again, if you make a comment, use the language that you're confident with. Guys, are you satisfied with all of that information? And again, are you happy with today's lesson?
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Okay,
Sir,
100%. So, guys, thanks very much for joining. This brings
sir,
us to
may
the end
I
of
ask, sir?
the lesson for today. Have a good night, guys.
Sir,
Someone wanted to ask a question, but my battery is on 2%. You can maybe ask the question in the group or via inbox. So I'm just going to make sure that I save this lesson so that I don't lose it.